One of the fascinating things about atomic substance theory is that it may very well allow for the possibility of time travel into another dimension, or should I say relative to another dimension. A good way to imagine time is to imagine all of time existing on a strip of film, and the whole thing exists at once. Everything that ever happened exists at once on a strip of film. And you can take that strip of film and you can bend it around and twist it and do whatever you want to do with it, but the characters on that film are always going to see the flow of events moving in only one direction, because their brains are made up of the laws of physics that only move in one direction. Even if you took that strip of film and you ran it backwards, they're always going to see the flow of events moving in the direction that physics propagates in the direction of cause and effect. It may very well be that as you travel super light dimensional and you travel faster than the speed that light travels, that the propagation of physics, which is in fact time itself, will begin to bend backwards, to curve backwards upon itself, meaning that the flow of events relative to another universe may begin to flow backwards. Try to imagine it like this, okay? Try to imagine, here's Biddy, okay? There's Biddy getting ready to flank baby Biddy for probably the 20th time that day, okay? But now try to imagine they're on a starship traveling at speeds in excess of the speed of which light travels, but not faster than 186,282 miles per second. Try to imagine they're on a starship. I know it kind of looks like my apartment, but just try to imagine it as a starship with really bad carpeting. Anyway, they're on this starship, and as you can see, here goes the Biddy. She attacks baby Biddy. Now we see what the flow of events are. We see what cause and effect is, okay? But remember, they're traveling at speeds in excess of the speed of which light travels. They're slowing down in time. In effect, they may actually be traveling backwards in time. Now take a look at this diagram now, okay? Up here we have the Biddies now traveling beyond the speed of which light travels, and traveling back in time relative to the Earth. But cause and effect to them is always the same. You know, the toothpaste always comes out of the toothpaste tube, like it always should. But relative to the Earth, as seen from the Earth, it's now moving backwards. The events are moving backwards. And the same is true from their point of view if they were to see the events of the Earth. The events would appear to be moving backwards, because time is now looped back over itself. It's now curved. Let's say now the Biddy gets this wild, crazy idea in her head. And since she's traveling back in time, she can travel all the way back to the 2000 election and stop Ralph Nader from running in the 2000 presidential election, thus giving Al Gore enough Florida votes to win the presidential election. The problem with that is, what she's going to find out is that with time travel, there's a dimensional aspect involved with it. You must transpose dimensions in order to be able to time travel. This is what eliminates the possibility of paradox. The only way for the Biddy to get back into this universe down here is for her to slow her velocity back down and transform her mass back into this velocity mass, which at that amount of time she can only end up back in the immediate future of when she left. Therefore, no paradox in time can ever be created by any being or God or Biddy, no matter how powerful. But now conceivably, if you could actually see back in time without affecting it, you could actually construct a human being, atom per atom. And I'm not talking about cloning where you just clone the body and don't have the personality. I'm talking about the personality, everything. You would have the whole person there. And not only that, you could see and know the past history of the Earth down to an atomic level. I mean, you could know the color of the stripes of the underwear of everybody on the Titanic if you wanted to, if that's what you were into. Theoretically, anybody could be recreated. Anybody could be recreated in their exact state of mind. So it wouldn't be like cloning where you just clone the physical body but you can't clone the personality. In this case, you're recreating everything, atom per atom, if you were conceivably powerful enough to do it. I mean, you had to be a bitchin' powerful god to do that one. I mean, that'd be to reconstruct a human being atom per atom. But theoretically, an advanced, super advanced machine, beyond anything that we could ever imagine, could theoretically do it. And people from the past could actually be alive in some sense. I mean, it would be the actual person. It'd be him. And I mean, John F. Kennedy could be alive someplace, having been recreated by us. And he might be an expert on his own assassination. He might be having a conversation with Oswald about the assassination, for all we know. They could be sitting around having a beer about it. I doubt it, but I mean, who knows? It just, because there's no paradox preventing it. They're not actually in this dimension. Nobody's actually traveling back in time and affecting this dimension. The only way to travel back in time is with this dimensional aspect involved of atomic dimensional change, which violates nothing. I mean, there could be multiple versions of people walking around. There could be, like, you know, people, what if some maniac god created, like, you know, 1,000 Tricky Dicks? Can you imagine 1,000 Nixons, and they're all running for office and they're all pulling the same shit? I mean, good God. Maybe, I'm sorry I even brought it up. Forget it, I even brought this whole thing up.